When life begins to crumble and everything around you feels uncertain, it's easy to think you're being punished. You lose something, someone betrays you, your plans collapse, and your heart whispers, "Why me?" But the truth is, the storm isn't sent to destroy you. It's sent to wake you up. Allah doesn't send storms to break your soul, He sends them to redirect it. Sometimes we become too comfortable in the calm, too attached to the people, the plans, the illusions of control we've built around ourselves. And then suddenly everything changes. That's not chaos, that's divine mercy disguised as disruption. Because through the storm, you start seeing what you were blind to in the sunshine. It's in those dark, confusing, painful moments that you begin to truly understand what reliance on Allah means. You see, when everything is going right, your tongue says Alhamdulillah, but your heart may not truly feel it. But when everything collapses, when you can't see a way forward and you still say Alhamdulillah, that's when your faith becomes real. That's when your relationship with Allah deepens, because you're not praising Him for what you have, but for who He is. And that's the kind of faith that storms are meant to awaken. When you're in the middle of the storm, it feels endless. It feels like the pain won't stop, like the world has turned against you. But have you noticed something? Every storm eventually ends. Every dark cloud eventually clears. And when it does, the world looks different. You look different. You realize that what you thought would destroy you actually became the reason you found strength, patience, and faith you didn't know you had. Allah was never punishing you. He was preparing you. You were praying for closeness to Him, for guidance, for purification. And sometimes the answer to those prayers isn't ease, it's struggle. Because purification doesn't come through comfort. It comes through pain, through tears, through surrender. In those moments when your heart feels shattered, when you fall into sujood not knowing what to say, when all you can manage is, "Ya Allah, help me," that's when He's closest. The Prophet _FDFA said, "Allah is with the broken-hearted." Think about that. Allah doesn't turn away when you're weak, He comes nearer. The storm you're in might be the very way Allah is pulling you closer to Him, so when you're overwhelmed, don't rush to escape it. Sit in it and talk to your Lord. Let the rain of tears fall, because maybe that's what your heart needed to be washed clean. When we say in the storm, "I found Allah," it means that in the chaos we discovered clarity, in the noise we found silence with Him. In the pain we found purpose. Sometimes Allah has to strip away everything you depend on until you're left with only Him, because only then will you realize He was all you ever needed. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" Because every test carries a message. Every loss carries wisdom. Every delay carries mercy. The storm isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your awakening. It's Allah saying, "Come back to me, trust me, I'm still here, so don't let the thunder frighten you or the darkness make you doubt." Behind every storm is a clear sky waiting to appear. And when it does, you'll realize the storm didn't take anything away from you, it gave you something priceless. The moment your heart finally said, "In the storm I found Allah." You see, most people think they're tired. They say, "I'm exhausted, I can't do this anymore, my faith is weak." But in reality, it's not always tiredness, it's a lack of discipline. The truth is, your body can handle much more than you think, but your soul becomes weak when it's not being trained. The same way you train your muscles to lift weight, you have to train your heart to carry faith, and that doesn't come through comfort, it comes through consistency. You say you want peace, but peace doesn't come from wishing, it comes from effort. You say you want strength, but strength doesn't come from saying, "I believe." It comes from proving it when it's hardest to stay consistent. You're not tired of praying, you've just stopped reminding yourself why you pray. You're not tired of doing good, you've just lost connection with the purpose behind it. Because when faith turns into routine without reflection, it starts to feel like a burden. And that's when Shaitan whispers, "You're tired, you can rest, skip it this time." But that's the very moment you need to push back. Because discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades, and faith is built on discipline. It's built on showing up even when you don't feel like it. The strongest believers are not those who never feel weak, they're the ones who stay disciplined despite their weakness. They still wake up for Fajr when sleep feels heavy. They still control their anger when every nerve in their body wants to respond. They still give in charity when they barely have enough. That's not because they're superhuman, it's because they've trained their souls to obey Allah over their desires. Discipline is not about doing what's easy, it's about doing what's right even when it's difficult. And when you start living like that, you'll notice something amazing. Life becomes lighter. The same prayer that once felt like effort starts to feel like peace. The same Quran you struggled to open becomes your comfort. You see, undiscipline makes the heart lazy. It whispers tomorrow when Allah is calling you today. It convinces you that you need rest when your soul needs remembrance. It makes you chase comfort when growth lies in challenge, and every time you listen to that voice, your spiritual muscles weaken. But when you fight back, when you choose obedience over excuses, you begin to feel alive again. You start realizing that discipline isn't punishment, it's protection. Allah doesn't ask you to pray 5 times a day to burden you, He commands it to anchor you. Because in a world full of chaos, your salah is the only moment your heart truly breathes. Discipline is also an act of love. When you discipline yourself for the sake of Allah, you're saying, "Ya Allah, I love you enough to put you first even when it's hard," and Allah sees that. Every time you struggle to pray, He sees it. Every time you hold back your anger, He sees it. Every time you do the right thing when no one is watching, He sees it. And He rewards it not just with blessings, but with peace, because true peace is the result of disciplined faith. So, when you say, "I'm tired," pause and ask yourself, am I really tired? Or have I just stopped being disciplined? Because tiredness fades with rest, but undiscipline only grows with neglect. And if you want to rise again, if you want your heart to feel alive, then bring discipline back into your worship, your thoughts, your actions. You're not tired of life, you're tired of living without focus. Bring Allah back to the center of your effort, and you'll see what you called exhaustion was only distance. And once you return, you'll realize you were never tired, you were just undisciplined. When Allah loves you, He doesn't make life easier, He makes you stronger. Every struggle you go through, every tear that falls, every moment you feel like you're at your limit, that's not because Allah has abandoned you. It's because He's preparing you. Sometimes we ask for strength and then wonder why life gets harder. We ask for faith and wonder why the tests keep coming, but that's how Allah answers those prayers. He doesn't give you strength as a gift wrapped in comfort. He gives you strength through the struggle. He builds you through the very moments you thought would break you. We often see tests as punishment, but in reality, they are signs of divine attention. The Prophet _FD said, "When Allah loves a servant, He tests him." Think about that for a moment. Allah tests the ones He loves not to hurt them, but to refine them. Because there are parts of your heart that only hardship can polish. There are lessons that only pain can teach. There is a depth of faith that only emerges when you've been pushed to your knees, when you've cried in the silence of the night and still whispered, "Ya Allah, I trust you." That's when you truly understand what it means to rely on Him. When life feels heavy, when everything seems to fall apart, and your mind whispers, "I can't do this anymore." That's not the end, that's the beginning of your transformation. You may not see it now, but the same test that's hurting you today could be the reason you'll stand stronger tomorrow. Every time you endure with patience, your soul grows. Every time you stay firm when it would have been easier to give up, your heart expands. That's how Allah molds His believers, not in ease, but in endurance. Sometimes the reason you're struggling is because Allah wants to detach you from the world. You might have built your peace around people, plans, or possessions, and Allah, in His mercy, removes them. Not to leave you empty, but to show you that true peace comes only from Him. Because when everything else is taken, and you still have faith, that's when you realize you've lost nothing of value. The pain you feel is not punishment, it's purification. It's Allah removing what's temporary to make room for what's eternal. Every battle you face, every setback you experience, is part of Allah's training for your soul. Think of it like a storm strengthening a tree. The wind may be fierce, the branches may bend, but the roots, they grow deeper. Likewise, every hardship you face deepens your roots in faith. You begin to learn that even when you're surrounded by uncertainty, Allah's plan is still perfect. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Alhamdulillah, this too is from Him." That's a level of peace that no comfort can teach you. And yes, there will be moments when you break. There will be nights when you feel like you can't breathe, days when your tears won't stop. But even in that, Allah is near. He hears the cries you can't even express. He sees the struggle no one else sees. And He promises asterisk with hardship comes ease. Asterisk not after it, but asterisk with it. Asterisk which means that even in your darkest moment, ease is walking beside you. You just haven't recognized it yet. So the next time you face a storm, remember this: Allah isn't punishing you, He's strengthening you. He's building patience in your pain, faith in your fear, and resilience in your despair. The test you're in is not meant to destroy you, it's meant to reveal the believer within you. And when you come out of it, you'll look back and realize that every hardship was never a setback. It was a setup for your spiritual growth. Because Allah was never testing your weakness, He was awakening your strength. When the storm finally settles and the noise begins to fade, there's a silence that follows, a silence that feels different. It's not emptiness, it's clarity. You start to see what the storm was really about. You realize that everything you went through wasn't random. Every tear, every sleepless night, every prayer whispered in exhaustion, it was all leading you somewhere. Allah didn't bring you through the storm just to survive. He brought you through it so you could rise. The goal of the test was never destruction, it was transformation. Because when you emerge from a storm with faith still in your heart, you're not the same person who entered it. You're softer, wiser, stronger, and more connected to your Creator. But that transformation doesn't last on its own. It needs to be nurtured through discipline and consistency. The mistake many people make is that once relief comes, they return to the habits that once weakened them. They forget the prayers that held them together, the tears that brought them closer to Allah, the patience that shaped their strength. Yet the real success of a believer is not in enduring hardship, but in staying steadfast after it, because faith isn't proven in moments of desperation, it's proven in moments of ease. When everything feels calm again, that's when your sincerity is tested. Will you continue remembering Allah, or only return to Him when life becomes painful again? You see, it's easy to cry out for Allah when you're in pain, but it takes true discipline to remember Him when you're at peace. The believer who continues to pray, to give thanks, to stay humble even after the storm, that's the one who's truly transformed. Because the goal of every trial is not just to survive it, but to come out of it with a heart that's more disciplined, more focused, and more devoted. You can't control the storms that come your way, but you can control how you rise after them. You can decide whether they make you bitter or make you better. Start rebuilding your life, but build it around Allah this time. Let every goal begin with His name. Let every decision be guided by His remembrance. Don't wait for another storm to reconnect. Keep the bond alive through small, consistent acts. Maybe you can't pray for hours, but you can whisper His name during your day. Maybe you can't fast often, but you can show patience in your speech. Maybe you can't give a lot in charity, but you can smile, forgive, and help someone quietly. These small acts, done consistently, build the discipline that keeps your soul alive. Because faith isn't built in one grand gesture, it's built in quiet daily choices that no one sees but Allah. And remember, Allah doesn't ask for perfection, He asks for persistence. Even if you fall 100 times, get up 101. Because the moment you stop trying, the distance begins. But as long as you keep walking, even slowly, you're still on the path. The Prophet RFDFA said, "The most beloved deeds to Allah are those that are consistent, even if small." That's the secret. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to never stop trying. So when you look back at your storm, thank Allah not just for saving you from it, but for shaping you through it. The storm was not your ending, it was your beginning. It taught you that peace doesn't come from the absence of struggle, but from the presence of faith. And when that faith becomes your foundation, no storm can shake you again, because the one who found Allah in the storm will never be lost in the calm.